Hello, tiny people. Let's talk personal finance today. And today's lesson is reasons for saving. Now, at this point in your lives, I'm not sure if you understand how important savings really is. But as you get older and you take on greater responsibilities, this is going to come home to roost. But savings is a habit you have to get into early and often. Here are the percentages of average Americans who have saved certain amounts. 78% of adult Americans. Now stop and think about that. 78%. Almost 8 out of 10 live paycheck to paycheck. That may even have increased with this coronavirus business and the shutting down of all these businesses and the suspension, the furloughs, the terminations of all these jobs. 7.8 out of 10 live paycheck to paycheck. They don't have anything set aside. Then there are 6% who have saved $1 million+. Only 6% of all American adults have attained $1 million. And it's funny, we kick around the term millionaire. And sometimes you watch old movies and woo, a millionaire. That's something that's incredible. Nowadays, statistically, it takes most people think about $2.5 million to actually feel completely secure and as if somebody is wealthy. Then there's the people in between. That would be the remaining 16% of Americans who don't live paycheck to paycheck, but they haven't attained a level of wealth where they probably could survive for the rest of their lives. And that's probably about what $1 million is. Well, the first reason to save is emergencies. Think about that. People have two choices. If you have money saved and somebody becomes ill, or the car breaks down, or the washing machine, or the dishwasher, or the water heater, or anything else where you're going to have an emergency. Heck, you're driving home or you're flying home and your flight gets canceled and you're stuck in some strange city. What do? Well, some people have the ability to pay for those experiences, those emergencies, because they have saved. Other people will simply throw it on the credit card. And the problem with throwing it on the credit card is if you can't pay it all off because you haven't saved, then you are going to have to pay interest to the credit card company. And credit card interest is not low. I would guess that the average in America is somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 15%, and that's for people that shop around for cards reasonably. It goes as high as well into the 30s for what the percentage is that you have to pay for the use of the credit card company's money. So imagine you have to have $1,000 to take care of this emergency. You have to get your car fixed. And so you put $1,000 on the credit card. Guess what? This year, for the use of that, they are going to charge you, let's assume it's 15%, $150 more that you're going to have to pay back. And that would just be if it were simple interest. How about big purchases? You can't walk into a bank and say, I've never saved a penny in my life, but I've decided I want to buy a house. Can you lend me the entire amount? The banker will look at you and say, absolutely not. You have to have, the expression is, some skin in the game. You have to show us that you're going to want to keep making the payments, and you've got something to lose if you don't. So most places require, the best part is to have at least 20% down. Otherwise, they require you to buy some insurance to make sure that the loan doesn't go bad on them. It's possible with some government programs to get down to 5% or so, but the more money a person can put down, the smaller their mortgage payment will be. That's a loan for a house each month. How about going to college for yourself? I mean, mom and dad are certainly going to spring. Well, I'm not going to say they're certainly, but they may spring for room and board and your basic college experience. But are they going to cover books? Are they going to cover trips to the donut shop or a beer with your buddies? I don't know. But the answer is, for most people, no. And so saving for something like that, or how about think about your parents saving? If they're going to pay for college for you, then imagine they've been saving for a lot of years for their child's education. Major life events. Suppose someday you want to get married. I mean, that would be, wow, weddings can be incredibly expensive. Now, you can grab your intended and run on down to the justice of the peace at the courthouse and probably throw the whole thing together for a couple of $100, but very few people want to do that. Most people want to make a big extravagant day of it. I chose this picture because it was a destination wedding in Mexico. And I thought, yeah, how about that? You want to run off to a different country and have just the perfect wedding? That costs money. And if you start your life by putting that all in credit cards, and whoo, you're going to be paying for years and years and years. And how about that tiny person on the right? What happens if a bebe comes along? You're going to want the best for the bebe, and there's hospital bills and all sorts of things. You're going to need blankets and diapers. Man, there's a lot of expense there. Saving for it ahead of time is the best bet. Well, how much would your dollar be worth at age 65? Now, suppose you contributed $1 at each of those ages. The bottom line of the graph are chronological ages of the person who is saving the money. What you invest at age 20, that dollar, it grows by the time you're 65. You've made $5.84 on there. Now, that's amazing. If you start way later in life, look at 55. It's only had a chance to grow to $1.48. See, when you save, you don't take the interest out at the end of the year. Say you put it in a bank and they pay you 2%. You put in $1,000, they give you $20 at the end of the year. You don't take that out and go out to dinner on the $20. You leave it in. And next time, the following year, the bank isn't paying you interest on $1,000. It's paying you interest on $1,020. So allowing things to grow, saving early, saving often, key. How about your long-term security? Just the feeling that you know you can survive this. Right now in America, if you're paying attention to the news at all, you know that so many people are in financially risky positions. They've had that bill, I can't remember what they call it again, that they pushed through Congress where they're giving everybody $1,200 so that they could just survive. And they've upped the amount for unemployment where the government's giving people an extra $600 a month because they're not secure. They're not safe in where they live, in being able to put food onto the table. That's scary. Without an income, well, look at the other side of the page there. You work all your life and you work hard. At some point in time, you're going to want to retire. Most people do. I'll probably teach until I fall over on top of some tiny person. Anyway, most people want to retire. And when they retire, the income stops. You stop getting a paycheck. So what you're going to be living on would be what you have saved, the interest from that, from your savings and your investments. Financial independence, the state of having sufficient personal wealth, enough personal wealth to live without having to work actively for basic necessities. That means you don't have to go to work and, when you're an old person, pass out the carts at Walmart. You can certainly do it if you want to and you like to be around people and you like to say hello. God bless you. Stay in the workforce. But if a person wants to get out of the workforce, they can do that. One of my favorite examples of somebody who got financial independence early was Sir Richard Branson. If you've ever heard of Virgin anything, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Airways, there's all kinds of Virgin, I can't think of it, Galactica, what it is, space program, I can't think of what it is. But Sir Richard Branson actually went to a boarding school in England. And he was only 10, 11 years old when they shipped him off, and he went to the boarding school and thought, this is boring. I wish I had something to read, but he couldn't find anything that had any kind of intelligent articles that appealed to somebody his age. So he started publishing his own magazine, and Sir Richard Branson was a self-made millionaire at age 12. He was financially independent since he's been 12 years old. Of course, now he's a billionaire. Good luck with that, guys. I hope many of you make it. Every time I talk about making money and using it to invest, there's always a kid or two in class that says, well, I think you should give it all away. And I want to remind you about when you go into an airplane, you're going to take a trip. And remember how they always say to parents, if we have the oxygen mask drop down in front of the seat, don't worry about your kid until you have already put the oxygen on yourself. You have to help yourself first in order to help others. Now, I look at these poor little things out here from a street in the Philippines, and I think, would I give them some coins? Absolutely. Would I give them some bills? I probably would, because I'm a sucker for kids. But if you said, I really want to help these kids, and you didn't have any money because you've been giving it away piecemeal the whole time you've been alive, then yes, you can probably dig down and give them a bill or give them a coin and give them enough to maybe get a meal over at some food stand on the street. But how about if you had enough money to maybe help with a school that had been built for these kids, or to a food program where you could really make a significant difference in the lives of lots of people? There's a challenge there. It's a hard thing to turn away at one point in your life from this idea of helping others. And you can certainly do an awful lot. But if you honestly believe you should give everything away, that should be the way people are, then I'm guessing you want to go up into your bedroom right now and see if you have a laptop, because you could use somebody else's computer, or an iPad or an iPhone, or more than one pair of shoes or a couple extra pairs of pants or skirts or whatever, toys. Hey, have a rummage sale. Give it all away to somebody who needs it. Or you could live your life in a reasonable fashion and be aware of the idea that there will be a time when you could make a significant difference to others. But first, you have to grow, get yourself educated. You have to get yourself some kind of a financial foundation so that you will have that financial independence, so that you really can do the things you want to do, not fear for your own safety, and perhaps be able to help others. Thank you, tiny people. It has been a pleasure. I miss you all. Hasta la vista, babies.